Is premature ejaculation a genetic condition? So for guys who come sooner, is this something that runs in their families? It's an interesting question. There has been a fair bit of research into this, and sometimes these studies even make the headline news. Now, it was first suggested way back in 1943 by a German neurologist called Bernhard Shapiro, who had just observed that men who struggle to make sex last usually have male close relatives who have the same problem. Now, this wasn't really investigated again until 1998 by Dr. Marcel Waldinger. And this is a study that also underlines some of the awkwardness and the difficulty in studying this particular issue. Dr. Marcel Waldinger was a neuropsychiatrist who was probably the most eminent researcher into premature ejaculation and its causes and the various options for treatment. He was massively respected in his field, and sadly he passed away in 2019. Now, in his 1998 study, 237 men who experienced a lifelong premature ejaculation were evaluated, and as part of the study they were asked whether they would be prepared to speak to their male relatives to find out whether this was a shared experience in the family. Now, due to the usual embarrassment and difficulty around this, only 14 of the guys in the study did this, but of those 14, 10 found that they had close first-degree male relatives, fathers or brothers, who also came within 1 minute or sooner. What are the chances of that? Now, one of the other ways that we can study the genetic influence of things is by looking at twins. And in 2007, there was another study that looked at the prevalence of premature ejaculation in male twins in Finland. And it was found that there was a moderate genetic effect going on with premature ejaculation. Now, it's worth noting that this study was questionnaire based, so it might not be hugely reliable. Guys tend to not like ticking boxes that ask them questions about their darkest and deepest sexual discomforts. So if there is something running in the family here, what might be going on? Well, by 2009, advances in DNA analysis enabled a study that looked at men who experienced premature ejaculation and their serotonin neurotransmission. Now, serotonin enables our brain cells and other nervous system cells to communicate with each other, to pass messages along the body. Now, when it comes to serotonin and premature ejaculation, the current thinking is that when we're having intercourse, sensory input from the movement of the pelvis drives us towards their ejaculation reflex. That input is constantly regulated by excitatory and inhibitory centers of the brain. In a way, the brake system that says slow down, let's take our time, and the accelerator that's motoring us along to orgasm. Now, all of this is happening completely subconsciously. We're not aware of these underlying processes. Now, all of these messages and signals rely on serotonin and the way that it transmits from one cell to another. And there is a strong genetic impact on this system. The 2009 study essentially found that men with one specific serotonin genotype ejaculated a lot faster than guys with a different serotonin genotype. This also affirms what was already known by this point, that taking SSRI medication, which raises serotonin levels, has a significant impact on how long guys can last. If there is something running in the family here, it is worth noting that it's not all about serotonin. That Daily Mail article was based upon another bit of research that looked at the relationship between dopamine and the timing of the ejaculatory response. Now, dopamine is another type of neurotransmitter that plays a major part in how we experience pleasure. This research found that even though SSRIs can increase the duration of intercourse, guys that are taking this medication tend to report lower levels of sexual satisfaction, even though they're lasting longer. Note that the Daily Mail described this finding as a genetic abnormality, And that's a bit misleading. It's not correct. Everything that's been found in all of the studies that I've talked about here are variations in well-known genes. There's not anything abnormal or defective going on here. Now, all of these studies also concluded that more research is required, and hopefully this will lead to further insight, more understanding, and better solutions for premature ejaculation in the future. Something else that might run in families is awkwardness, self-consciousness, difficulty around sex. Let's say that mum and dad regularly experience the frustration and low satisfaction of premature ejaculation or other kinds of sexual difficulty. This creates maybe a sex-negative vibe in the household, and kids will pick up on it. If young children, kids are curious about sex and they ask questions, they might receive a negative or dismissive answer from their parents. If something vaguely sexual pops up on TV, this family might be even quicker to change the channel than your typical British family. Children and adolescents do absorb this vibe, these messages, completely subconsciously, and it can set up their own discomfort and awkwardness around sex further down the line. So in conclusion, yes, there does appear to be a genetic predisposition to premature ejaculation, and it's probably something to do with hormone levels. That said, this doesn't account for all experiences of premature ejaculation. There are so many other factors: sexual attitudes, our expectations, our anxiety levels, our self-consciousness that come into play here. And it's worth noting that the SSRI medication that changes serotonin and hormone levels doesn't make any difference at all for quite a significant number of men. A positive takeaway here is that whatever the causes might be, there are plenty of things that we can do to help overcome premature ejaculation and last longer. And whether it's our genetics or our excitement levels or anxiety or a whole mixture of these things, gaining skills is key to embracing, opening up and enjoying sex, and not handing down that negative vibe to our future generations. I hope this has been helpful and informative, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions about premature ejaculation or sexual confidence in general, please feel free to get in touch, and my website is linked in the description below this video. Also remember that I am a therapist sharing my opinions and general advice, but this is no substitute for going to see your own GP or doctor. So if you have any concerns about health or your sexual health, you should go and get a medical checkup and take some advice. Thank you very much for watching.